talking about the basic introduction to the trust. So the first thing that we get to know when you come to UK is that here hospitals are known as trusts. So it's not just one hospital. So UHB, like University Hospital Birmingham, is called a trust, whereby it will have 4 different hospitals which are catering 4 different areas of Birmingham. So for example, the first is Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Birmingham. The second one is Birmingham Heartlands Hospital. And the third is Good Hope Hospital. And fourth is Solihull. So that's the first thing that I learned, trusts, okay? So that's something new. Now, the different levels of doctors in NHS, and as Dr. Nadeem tried to explain it, so anyone who starts after medical school until they start their specialty training is called an SHO, and it's SHO. It's as a senior house officer. This could be internal medicine trainee in 2nd year, in 3rd year, until they start their specialty training. Even FY1 is our like house officer, and they have 2 years of house jobs, FY2, so they're all called senior house officers. Then comes specialty training, and therefore they are called SPR, which is specialty registrars. An example begins from ST3 to ST6, ST7, depending on which specialty they apply for. Like in the case of medical oncology, it's ST3 to ST6. So this is their own program, and that's what the doctors that we will be working with. And the specialty registrar is also called as middle grade. Now try to understand the fellowships or the MTI program. When we apply for it, there's something called junior fellowship, and then there's something called senior fellowship. So junior fellowship is post IMM, and you get an SHO job, and that is what the letter says very clearly. The second is the senior fellowship, which is post FCPS, and that is a registrar job, also known as middle grade job. But then this is one thing that I want you to learn from here. Don't lose hope. Don't lose hope at all. You might be coming at an SHO job, but as Dr. Nadeem said, if you're providing them service and if they're confident in your work, they can definitely consider you to be elevated to middle grade, right? So don't lose hope at all. Application process, very simple. As Dr. Ali Raza is mentioning, you just need to visit CPSP and keep looking at the CPSP scholarship page. I've pasted the link over here. And definitely you need to meet the criteria before you can apply, either IMM or FCPS Part 2. And the most important thing, this should be in your hand. You should either have your International English Language Testing System score, or you can have OET. So this is mandatory. So sort out first this bit, and then you can move on. Now, interview. So the interview is usually taken by either 2 very senior consultants from the UHB, from the trust, or 1 consultant and a very senior administrative person. And get ready for all the questions, for anything and everything, and definitely about your field. So I still remember the consultant he's a big consultant, he's a big name in UK, and he questioned me about breast cancer and specific management of triple negative breast cancer after surgery and what needs to be done. So that is one thing they need to be aware of. Definitely not everything in the field. It's not like a Viva, but then you should be somewhat aware of your field as well. So if I'm applying for medical oncology and I don't know what medical oncology is, I mean, that's a big no-no, right? Now, the next thing, when I was applying, this was the question that came to my mind. Well, is this GMC permanent? Is this not permanent? And seriously, I had to give them a call. There was no guidance. And again, I will praise Dr. Ali Raza and everyone over here. This is a beautiful opportunity. I did not have this opportunity to understand this concept, and I had to call GMC myself from Pakistan to ask this question, and whether this GMC is permanent or not. And many people will say, oh, no, it's not permanent. One of my friends was there in UK. Oh, no, it's not permanent. No, this registration is a full registration as a medical practitioner, and this is permanent and lifelong until and unless you carry on with the validation each and every year, which is required as per GMC. So it is permanent. It is full registration. Yeah. Now, coming to some practical points. What are the salary and savings? So this is just the net that I've shared, which is given. A junior fellow gets around £2,700 a month, and this is without tax deduction, because our salary comes through a different path, which is without tax deductions, and a senior fellow gets around £3,000. Now, I do not have this breakup, When I was coming here, I had to think, oh, what will the expenses will be, and it keeps on changing. And therefore, this is right now the latest that you can find anywhere in Birmingham. So, for example, I haven't mentioned any saving because you can calculate in the end whatever a person will save. So, a house rent, if you're living in hospital accommodation, they definitely provide you with hospital accommodation if you're single. But in my case, for example, I was coming with family, so I had to find accommodation for my family, right? And this is something you will find very funny in UK. It's, for example, if I have 3 kids and they are 7, 5, and 3, so I cannot live in a 2-bedroom house because it is called over accommodation. So every child needs to have a separate room. Okay, so I was like, yes, in Pakistan we live in we live in every place possible to live in, but that's not the case over here. So a family accommodation, depending on your size of the family, varies from anywhere between £750 to £900 a month. Now then there's this council tax around 130 to 150 depending on the area we're living. Then the gas and electricity bill. Understand over here, if you're looking for a house, first thing you need to look in whether the heating is on gas or electricity. Go for gas. The gas is very cheap throughout the summers and the spring. It will be 30 per month. But then if it's in winters where your heater will be on full, last year this December, it's cold, -2, and it was terribly cold, right? So it could be 100 per month. And electricity bill is very simple, 50 per month without heating with general use, but it can reach 300 to 400 per month in winters if your heating is based on electricity. Oh, here's the solution. So solution is go for a package. Speak to these companies online when you're coming and get them online and say, I want both of them from you. And they'll be more than happy to provide you the package and they'll give you much, much cheaper. Internet is 20 to 30 pounds per month. SIM card around 8 to 10. If you again speak to the same company like Vodafone and Virgin who's giving you home internet and SIM, it will save you money. Then grocery, depending on how much you eat, definitely depends. So 300 to 400 pounds is your fridge will be full every time of the month with fruits and everything. Definitely you cannot find the Pakistani mangoes, the chosas and sceneries, but then you can find everything else except for the good mangoes. Now commuting varies. When I started traveling by bus. That can be 65 pounds a month, a fixed ticket for a month. But if you go for a personal car, which is perfectly fine as well, just add in the insurance and road tax. But to be really frank, if you multiply 65 by 12, the insurance and road tax is almost similar. And one added point that I haven't mentioned here, if you have your international license and you're coming to drive here, you can drive for 1 year without anything. And during that 1 year, you can apply for a UK provisional license and then go for the theory test and for the practical test. But you're exempted for anything and everything for the first 1 year. Okay. Now, this was another question. What is CCT and what is CSER? So CCT is basically, when a trainee in UK finishes his or her training in their program and they have a training number, it's called CCT, where it's a certificate of completion of training. Yeah. And CSER is the alternate route. But then we are not touching this at all. Yes, you can definitely apply for training after you completed your fellowship as an MTI fellow. And for CSER, we'll have a different session.